remember your mission with Bob Destiche as your co-pilot?
Oh, that was weird. That was a mission where the front moved in while we were over the target. When we come back, it was solid under us. As a matter of fact, I think it was up to 6,500 or 7,000 feet. When you got down, you were right on top. You've flown. Did you ever play around with clouds?
A little bit.
You know? Well, this was down and it was solid. Well, we had a procedure. You were on a heading, and the wings would turn out 45 degrees from the heading. If you're on the left side, you turn left 45, right, turn right 45, for 45 seconds. Then you turn back to the heading you'd been on. That spread you out. Then you started down through at 180 miles an hour and 500 feet a minute. So you theoretically, if everything goes the way it's supposed to, you'll break out together. So this mission, Destiche was with me, and it hadn't been a particularly bad mission. I picked up some battle damage, and I also lost my radio in the battle damage. I didn't have any radio. So we dropped down, and I'm 180 miles an hour, 500 feet a minute. And I'm watching the altimeter winding down and winding down, winding down, get down to 1,000 feet. And I'm thinking, hey, I hope I'll break out here pretty soon. Get down to 500 feet. Still nothing. And I'm beginning to get a little anxious because the atmospheric pressure, I didn't know what it was right there, and it could be, the altimeter could be off a couple hundred feet. And I got down to around 300 feet, and I thought, I'm going to go back up. Must be clear to the ground. But I got down, I broke out about 75 or 100 feet. I broke out on the ground. And when I broke out, off to my left was this smokestack sticking up above. I thought, boy, if I'd been over there, I'd have had a greeting. But anyhow, I look around. My other planes ought to have been with me, but no one's around. And I don't have any radio, or what I would have done, I would have called dark gray. And I'd have given them a long count, and they would give me a heading, and I'd take the reverse of that and go right to the field. Well, I couldn't do any of that, and I couldn't find anybody around me, and there's snow everywhere. And so I'm flying around hunting an airfield. I don't care where it is. I'll take any airfield. And I'm flying, and all of a sudden, there come a B-26 going east. And I thought, well, I'll get on him and go to his field. So I turned around and was trailing him. And after about 15 or 20 minutes, flying east, I thought, buddy, I just came from there. I'm not going back there. He was going to Germany. I thought, well, he doesn't know what he's doing either. So I turned around and I'm still hunting. Dusty didn't say anything. Finally, I don't know which direction I was flying, but anyhow, Dusty said, you'd better pick a place and put her in. You got 15 minutes worth of gas. I thought, good Lord, and he was flicking, and that's what I had. So right away, off to the left, I'd seen this long field, snow-covered, I didn't know how rough it was or anything, but I banked to go over. That was the field I was going to put it down in. And when I rolled up into that bank, now I'm flying close enough to the ground that some good-hearted soul fired a very pistol. And that thing, when that flashed, that green ball, I looked down and I could make out a runway down there. It wasn't plowed, but there was a runway. I thought, you know, how that could happen that way. But anyhow, I banked her around and put her down, put her into that runway, which wasn't plowed. When I got down to the end, I was still moving pretty good. And when I put the brakes on, she slid off the runway, but it was just dirt clear, and I only slid about 20 feet and it stopped. Well, no big deal. I just put the power on her and pulled back up on the runway. I pushed the throttles forward, the engines quit. I was out of gas.
Oh my God.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, the good Lord has to be with us today. I'll never know who that guy was, but they come out in the 66, and where I'd gone in was at the 394th, which was about 70 or 80 miles north of us, 387. They put us in the truck and we went home that evening. The next morning, Captain Norris, our aircraft maintenance officer, come in. Stevens, yes sir. How badly is the, and it was the old Blivet, how badly is the Blivet banged up? I said, what do you mean? Well, didn't you run it off the end of a runway? I said, yes. And I said, that's where it's sitting. I said, I ran out of gas, or I'd have pulled back on the runway. I said, all it needs is gas. So he left, and they brought the Blivet back down. But you know, how that guy, why he knew that I was in trouble, and why he took the trouble to fire that very pistol. If I'd have known who he was, I'd have given him a big hug and kiss when I got on the ground.